February lecture series. And my name is Carly Evans. I'm the Director of Student Services. Again, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come over. And I am actually going to turn it over to one of our Student Government Association members. He is actually our Vice President, Antonio Calloway. He will be giving an introduction of our speaker this morning.
Morning. Introduce you. Shelly Wilkes is the team president of the Lakeland Magic, G League affiliated with the Orlando Magic. She is responsible of overseeing the day-to-day business operations of the team. Wilkes spent 13 seasons with the Orlando Magic and started a game night staff member in the marketing department during the 2003-2004 season and was hired full-time in August 2004 as a group sales coordinator. She held multiple positions within the sales and marketing areas of the company. Her most recently as a senior director of live entertainment and production services in July 2015, before being named the president of Lakeland Magic in December 2016. Wilkes received her bachelor's degree in general business from the University of Central Florida in 2002 and was a member of the women's volleyball team. She later graduated from the DeVos Sports Business Management program at the UCF in 2004 and earned her master's degrees in both business administration and sport business management. She lives in Orlando with her husband Dallas, her two daughters, Quinn, which is 3, and Allison, which is 8 months. Y'all help me and welcome Shelly Wilkes.
Well, he took my whole talk. So I'll give you guys, I'm going to give you a background of the G League and the Lakeland Magic because I would assume some of you, hi, one of our season ticket members over here. I'll give you a little bit of background of the Lakeland Magic, what the G League is, and we'll talk a little bit about my journey, and then at the end I'm going to talk through, it's not a very seamless transition, but at the end we'll talk through some of the things that I've just learned along the way and would like to share with all of you guys. So a little bit more about my background and how I ended up here. I did play volleyball at UCF, and as a student athlete did not feel like I had a clue about what I was going to do after school. As a student athlete at the Division I level, you're basically practicing and playing all the time and traveling, and there's not really a lot of emphasis actually put on your career when you're done playing. I did well in school, but honestly, my senior year of spring, volleyball was over, and I was like, I wonder what's going to happen with my life next. So luckily they were starting the DeVos Sport Business Management program at UCF that following year, and I was fortunate enough to get in that inaugural season. And through that is how I had the connection with the Orlando Magic. The DeVos family owns the Orlando Magic, and they're also the endowment for the DeVos Sport Business Management program at UCF. So that's how that whole connection happened. So had an awesome time with the Orlando Magic, had amazing experiences from going to the NBA Finals in 2009 to opening the Amway Center in 2010 and being on the team that produced a lot of those events, was able to produce the NBA All-Star Game in Toronto in 2016 as part of my game presentation background. And game presentation means all the fun stuff. So everything that's not the game on the court, from the mascot to dance team to video board elements to LED, so all the fun stuff. And so through that, had worked on many projects within the organization, and then November of 2016 comes around, and we were trying to decide where to move our G League team. This had already been in the works for multiple years, probably, of us moving it closer to home. We were affiliated with the Erie Bayhawks, and I'll go through this in a little bit more detail here shortly. We wanted to move the team closer. So Lakeland was a great home. It's within an hour of Orlando. It's a perfect location to host a G League team. But personally, what that meant for me is I was getting ready for a game one night, and our chief operating officer came up to me and asked if I would be interested in this role. And it's about 3 minutes before the game starts. And as a game presentation person, for anybody that's ever worked in live events, it is nuts. There was something broken down, I'm not really sure what was happening, and I was trying to run around and put out some fires. And I'm 8 months pregnant at that time in November, and with my first baby. And so he comes to me and he's like, hey, I have this opportunity for you, thought you might be interested. And I was like, what? Let's talk about that later. I've got some things going on. So was fortunate enough to get offered the role in December of 2016. I believe it was somewhere around December 10th, and then had a baby on December 26th, and went on maternity leave for the first 3 months of the team being in existence in Lakeland. So fortunately, it's all worked out. I've had a second child, and everybody's doing quite well. So I'm going to get into a little bit about the Lakeland Magic and the NBA G League. So does anybody know, not you, anybody know what the NBA G League is? So, the NBA G League, the G, does anybody recognize that? Gatorade, yes. So, we used to be the NBA Development League or NBA D League, and then 3 years ago, Gatorade actually purchased the naming rights to the league. So, they're the only professional sports entity with a named partner in the name of the league. So, that's where the G comes from. So, we get that question a lot, so I wanted to make sure to cover that off the bat. So this is the NBA G League. So today we are at 28 teams across the country. The league was actually founded in 2001. We had 8 teams in 2001 that were all in kind of secondary markets owned by individual owners within these markets, not really affiliated with NBA teams. Over the last 7 or 8 years, the league has really invested in this league to grow it, to really become the minor league system for the NBA. The goal of the G League is for it to be the fastest way for players to get into the NBA. So we are now at 28 teams. There's only 2 NBA teams that do not own and operate their own G League team, and that's Portland and Denver. All other teams now are owned and operated by an NBA affiliate team. And then in 2020, we will be adding a 29th team, and it will actually be a team out of Mexico City. So again, the goal of the G League is development and testing. So it's developing players on the court, it's developing referees, coaching staff, front office staff, which is all of my staff and myself. And then it's testing. So on the court, we test multiple different things. So this year, we're testing a potential rule change for the NBA, which is a free throw shooting rule, where a player takes 1 free throw, regardless of the foul, or how many free throws they should take. So if it is a 2 infraction shot, like it should be 2 shots normally in the NBA, they're only going to take 1 shot, but it'll count for 2 points. The reason we're doing this, and the reason we're always testing, is for speed of game. The goal is to continuously speed up the game of play because everyone, because of our phones and our attention span, is greatly decreasing. And to make the broadcast experience more manageable, we're trying to speed up the game to within that 2-hour mark. So there's a bunch of testing going on right now around just speed of game. And the other thing that we'll be testing when it comes to this Mexico City idea is to see if an NBA team could be viable in Mexico City. So we're going to operate a G League team there and see how it goes. Test all the factions from travel to what does scheduling look like, etc. And then potentially someday there could be an NBA franchise in Mexico City. So that's where the G League really comes into play for the NBA, is that it becomes a way for the league to see, we want to do this crazy new rule change on the court. Let's see how it plays out in the G League, and then is it something that can be implemented into the NBA? For our players on court, so we have a 15-man roster. 10 of those players are NBA G League players, which means they probably have graduated from college, did not get drafted, but were probably high-level college players, just not quite ready for the NBA. And they are actually hired and contracted by the G League. So their salary is paid by the G League. I always get this question, so I'll say it up front. Our players make $35,000 a year. So nothing like what you see at the NBA level. They are all here working their hearts out, trying to make it to that next step. We also have on our team 2 two-way contract players. And what that means is they sign a contract with the NBA team and your G League team. Their pay and their salary is increased quite a bit. And they're your guys that are most likely to get a full NBA contract very soon. So we have two-way players on our team. Any questions on G League map? Yes?
So do some of those non-double A players get drafted?
Which ones?
The
The
ones
two-way players?
The ones that aren't the ones you just said?
Okay, so yes, the NBA G League contracted guys, some of them actually do get drafted. Most of them that are on G League rosters have been drafted in the second round and then do not sign their NBA contract and instead sign into the G League. So some of them go through the NBA draft, get drafted to their NBA roster, but then get assigned to their G League team full-time and don't actually sign an NBA contract. So yes, there is a way that has happened, and that's the second round has really become kind of the G League round in the NBA draft.
So are they up above the other one?
Nope, they still get the same pay rate.
They do.
Yep, they are probably noticed more, have a higher likelihood of getting a 10-day contract or getting signed to an NBA team in the near future. So,
Do they, sorry.
okay.
Would they be drafted to the Magic, or are they open to go like?
Yeah, so when you're drafted to, from the NBA draft and you're drafted to the Orlando Magic retain your rights.
Okay.
Even if you're assigned to the G League team for whatever that contract length is. So it really depends. Your G League contracted guys, the one thing about them in general is they can be picked up by any other team. Outside of these draft picks that we're talking about, which is not the most common. So those 10 G League players, the reason why the two-way contract exists today is that we were developing players in our G League system for multiple years. Other teams were coming in and signing those guys after we've invested all this time and energy into them, and we had no rights from an NBA standpoint to them. So that's why we developed two-way contracts. So now those guys are locked in for 3 years to your G League franchise and your NBA franchise. So that's how that kind of works. And this is just to show you, there's a lot of numbers on here, I'll just call it the main point, is that the experiment is working on the court. So at the end of last season, 52% of NBA players had played in the G League at some point. So the experiment is working. We have the G League operating as the development arm for the NBA. And that's playing either as a G League player, as an assignment player, so that's the other way we have players on our roster, is NBA contracted guys. Most NBA teams only play their first 9 guys in a rotation, and then the rest of them aren't really getting game minutes. So the only way for players to truly get better is practice is great, but you get better playing game minutes. So they get assigned to their G League team to actually play in games. So that's where that number comes from, that 52% of players.
Do all teams have a G League? Or
So
just some?
28 of the 30 have a G League team. And then Portland and Denver, they have the ability to assign their players to other G League teams throughout the league. So they have kind of an affiliation, but it's not as strong. Yes?
So has this had a big effect on like the players that play for a year in college and go to the draft and play 2 years in college and go to the draft? I'm from Kentucky, so
Yeah.
one and done.
Yeah.
So
We have Isaac Humphreys on our team from Kentucky.
Yep.
It has not changed the one and done yet. So there is a contract now in the G League that's called a special contract. And these players who are recruited out of high school, they can actually get a $125,000 salary contract. There's a lot of vetting that goes on, so it's your 18-year-olds because the NBA does not allow someone to sign into the NBA until you're 19. It was a stopgap to try to figure out this one and done scenario. We didn't have any players take advantage of it this year. We've actually had players play overseas or Australia. We do have some 18-year-olds in the G League, just not under this special contract, because your special contract is really for your like Zions of the world who are going to go to college for 1 year and then leave. We haven't had anyone take advantage of it. It is my belief that when the new CBA comes up in the NBA, that age will go back to 18. I don't know that for sure. Don't quote me on that, but I assume that will happen to try to alleviate this one and done issue that's happening. To give you a little bit about the Orlando Magic and the Lakeland Magic and how we're all affiliated. So the Orlando Magic is our ownership group. We're all a part of the same family. So the Orlando Magic of the NBA owns the Lakeland Magic, which is their G League affiliate. They own the Solar Bears, which is our ECHL minor league hockey affiliate that's actually affiliated with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And then Magic Gaming, which is our e-gaming team. The NBA 3 years ago launched the NBA 2K League, which is a gaming league, and the Orlando Magic have a team in the gaming league as well. A little bit about us on the court. So currently, as of today, after the All-Star break, we are currently sitting at 19-15. We're 6th in the Eastern Conference and 1st in the Southeast Division. A couple of player highlights. Josh Majette has been a player of the week. He is our point guard. He is also second all-time assist in the NBA G League. By the end of the season, he will probably break that record and be the all-time assist leader in the G League. And it's getting announced today. Spoiler alert, he will be joining the USA B team for the next 2 weeks as they play some qualifying matches against Puerto Rico. So that's very cool for Josh. Andrew Rousey, another point guard. For anybody that's been to any of our games, he is a little guy. I want to say he's 5'10" on paper. I don't know how tall he really is.
5'11", I think maybe.
5'11" on
I was
paper.
at that game.
Yes, and he just broke the franchise record for 43 points in a game, which is amazing. He's very fun. Player call-ups, Emil Jefferson played at Duke, was a two-way player for us, signed an NBA contract this year with the Orlando Magic. Josh Majette has signed a 10-day contract with the Orlando Magic, and then our two-way players are BJ Johnson and Vic Law. BJ is the one pictured here. BJ is also having a heck of a season and will likely get picked up by an NBA team here, probably on the playoff run. So this is good and bad. So the G League, at the end of the day, as I said, is about development of your players. The bad part of that is the NBA takes your players. So we have a lot of player movement throughout the season, where a lot of our guys are moving up or going down. And when Orlando is injured, which they have been a bit this year, it takes our players away as well. But we know it's good for them. It's challenging for us on the court. We luckily have a fantastic coach in Stan Heath who works with what he's got each night, and there have been nights where we've had 6 healthy players on our bench, and he's just made it work, and even got some wins with a roster like that. So it can be challenging, but it is a lot of fun and always keeps it interesting, that's for sure. This is the RP Funding Center. So again, if you guys haven't been there, we do a ton with Kaiser to get you guys out to games. So we'd encourage you to take advantage of any of those times that we are bringing students out. This is the interior of the RP Funding Center in the George Jenkins Arena where we play. Prior to us choosing Lakeland, the reasons why we kind of chose this location is one location, it's in a fantastic location. 2, was city partnerships. So there was a lot of collaboration with the city and Polk County Sports Marketing to bring us here. One of the greatest parts of what's happening was the RP Funding Center was going through a $14 million renovation in the middle of us kind of searching for a place. So they were able to allocate a small amount of those funds to fix the George Jenkins Arena to host an NBA level game experience. So that goes to courtside suites, which you see with the tables, a courtside seat experience, and we had to get a brand new playing surface and hoops because there was not NBA quality hoops or playing surface previously. So the city was able to allocate funds to do that, and it really made it helpful for us to be able to come and play right here in Lakeland. Attendance-wise, continuing to grow. We're in our 3rd season right now, so one of the challenges that we've had, and I guess I'll start with the positives. One of the greatest positives we have had is our partners from a business standpoint. So from a business-to-business standpoint, we've had a lot of success getting the business community galvanized around the team being here across Polk County and even some into Tampa. Businesses kind of investing, bringing employees out, being a part of what we're doing here. The challenge has been getting kind of a general fan base to know who we are, why we're here, why they should want to come to a game, and it's been one of the things that we have been solely focused on for 3 years, is getting groups of people to come out and experience the game once. I think Dr. Haddon could say that if you come one time, you want to come back over and over again. It is a great experience from the time you walk in till the time you leave. I often say that I don't care if you know if we won or lost, and many people don't, but they know what happened there and that they had fun and enjoyed themselves. And that's really what we want to give you is a legendary experience when you come to our games. So everyone is kind to you when you walk in the door. There's music, there's entertainment throughout the entire game. And it's just a really fun thing to be around if you're a family or you bring clients out or you come as a group of people that attend entertainment venues together. So we're continuing to grow. We have about 5% growth in attendance each year, and we're looking to exponentially increase that. We average about 1,400 fans a game. And in the G League, you want to be closer to about 2,200 fans a game. So a lot of room to grow there, still a challenge that we're working to overcome. And so everyone in this room would increase those numbers. We'd love to have you. Come and join us. The other biggest piece with us being here is, as you guys all know, being here as well, is it's a very philanthropic and community-based area of the state. I think it's one of the most philanthropic areas of Florida. And we know that we have to be more than a basketball team. We only play basketball from, let's call it October through April. And the rest of 12 months, we have to be active in the community, engaged in what's happening in Polk County. So we really have a big focus around these 5 areas of focus for the community. So whether it's homelessness, hunger, health and fitness, education and literacy, or youth basketball, we do a lot of different programming around these. To highlight some of those, homelessness, we partner every single year with Habitat for Humanity, and our partners at Talk of the Town come on board, and they usually donate anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 a year to Habitat to continue their mission of providing homes to those in need. For hunger, we partner closely with Kids Pack and with our partners at Mosaic, and for every 3-pointer that our team makes, Mosaic donates $75. Last year they donated $20,000. This year we're on track for them to donate about $25,000 to Kids Pack. And those of you that don't know what Kids Pack is, it's a fantastic organization that provides meals to those in need over the weekends. So a lot of kids, their only meals during the day are at school. And on the weekends they are still needing food. And so Kids Pack is providing that and packing backpacks for them with some take-home, non-perishable items that they can use over the weekends. Literacy, so we've launched the Magic 863 reading program 2 years ago, and this is a way for us to encourage children to read and give them the opportunity to see an NBA G League game. So if they read for 4 weeks, for 30 minutes a day, they get signed off by their teacher and they get 2 tickets to come to a game for them and a parent. And then health and wellness, each year we do a Lakeland Magic 5K. And the unique part about this is, one, you can run with our mascot Swish. This is really a lie, he only runs like 10 yards and then we take a photo and he's out. But you do get to finish across center court. So we have a path that goes around the RP Funding Center and you finish at center court. It's quite fun, quite a fun event that I love that we get to do. So transitioning a little bit more from the Lakeland Magic to some things that I often get asked, so I want to cover those, and then we'll open it up for any questions that you guys have. So, number 1 question I always get asked is being a woman. Not really like, are you a woman, but like, what is it like to be a woman? When I was named to this position, I was the first female team president in the G League. There are female team presidents in the NBA, and that is rapidly changing. There are some other leaders of G League teams now that are women. So I always get this question of, what is it like to be a woman in this industry or with male counterparts? So what I'd like to say is that I have been fortunate to work for a team who me being a woman has not been an issue. I know historically in many industries and in our industry it is, and continues to be an issue that we're constantly overcoming or trying to overcome, and need support of other women and other men in this room and out in the world. This is just a sampling of some 7 women who kind of broke barriers and made their own path in the sports industry. But again, I was hired in this role when I was almost 9 months pregnant. I've worked for an organization that has promoted historically the best person for a role. We still have work to do as well from a leadership role perspective, and the NBA has always been on the forefront of this. So one of the coolest things that we get to do in the G League is, I want to say now about 50% of our referees are women. It's a training program for referees in general for the NBA, but they're using it now as a pathway for many women to become referees. We have multiple women on coaching staffs in the NBA G League, And we are continuing to grow up additional women in the field in general. So I will say that though on the basketball side, it's historically very male dominated. And Orlando has again done a very good job. We have multiple women on our basketball operations staff. But again, more room to grow there. But in the business side, I want to say most of our teams are about 50-50 men and women. Where the gap becomes is that executive leadership role and getting women promoted into those roles. And I think there's multiple reasons why that isn't happening and why it isn't happening across industry, and why it requires women supporting women, men mentoring women, and promoting and helping continue to close this divide. The other piece about, and this is kind of staying on that being a woman, but this actually goes from just a leadership perspective for everybody, is take your seat. And what I more mean by this is use your voice. So anybody that's in a room, you're in the room because you have been asked to be there. Or you were there because you have a unique set of values or unique opinion. If you are silent in that room, nobody knows those values and that opinion, and you can't help lead the charge in one way or the other. So if that's in, you see there's a lot of medical people, if that's in a operating room or if that's in a boardroom, make your voice known. If you know the answer, if you have an opinion to drive direction and change the course of the business or to help direction of the business, take your seat and use your voice. And then lending a hand, and this goes back to what I was talking about women helping women. So historically, there has been this, there's a competition amongst women in executive leadership roles or in promotions. And it is a little bit of just people talking about that's what it is, but it is also there because there has historically not been enough room. There's only been this one opportunity that can be for a woman, and that's it. Where I think that is changing, and the only way it changes is if we lend a hand. We reach back and open the door for the woman coming behind us. This is how this can change. And also it's about men mentors, leading the charge, opening the door for women in the room. I've been fortunate that a majority of my senior leadership has been men, and they have helped promote me into certain roles to help me where I am today. And then the other question I often get is about balance, because I live in Orlando. I drive an hour here and home every day, and you're doing it too. Yeah, it's fun. A lot of podcasts. And I have 2 little kids. So I think balance is a myth. I don't think it's real. I think it's fun to think about and figure out if it's possible someday. But I always look at balance as it's seasons of life. So during our basketball season, I'm not as present at home. I'm as present as I can be. I am obviously have a great partner with my husband, and that's where I am able to achieve some balance, is that he is fantastic and a true partner with me. So we are able to, whether that's him bringing the girls to a game so that I can see them on game nights or whatever that may be. But I think we have to think about it in seasons of life, and not necessarily the day-to-day, not getting caught up in the minute 24 hours of a day, but let's think of it over a span of time, and can we find time for ourselves, times for our families, and time for our children, and time for our jobs, and how do we make all of that work with each other, and at the end of the day to stop beating ourselves up over this. And then the other big piece that I focus on with my team, and that I've always focused on with teams that I've been a part of, is that it's team first. So the way I always see kind of my work life is to think about our organization first. And then kind of think about from a departmental level. This specifically comes into play whenever you're in a multi-department organization. And on the sports side, it typically becomes between marketing and sales. And sales doesn't think marketing's doing enough, and marketing doesn't think sales is doing enough. And it's just this crazy battle that's silly sometimes. So if you think about putting the organization first, your department second, and then yourself third, you really do make the best decisions for the organization and how we can all succeed together. I think about this a lot with our team on the court. The only way that they're going to play well and we're going to win games is if all 5 players on the court and the entire bench and coaching staff are all going towards the same vision at the same time. And we set up the same thing in our business office, that we all have the same vision. We want to be an integral part of this community. We want to be the place for people to be on our game nights. We want to be giving back constantly to the city of Lakeland and to Polk County in general. And we need everyone on board to do that. The only way that we can achieve any of our goals is if the entire team is thinking about team first and they're not thinking about themselves. I think if you, overarching, think about the team first, you yourself will be successful. And that's really the only way that I have known to operate our organization. And then at the end of the day, that mentality transitions into what I think is one of my greatest skills, because if you ask me like, what is my greatest strength? It's not like coding, or I don't really have the ability to do any of that. So it's just getting stuff done. So finding a way to set a vision, build a team, and get stuff done. We have to figure it out. We're oftentimes thrown into situations where there's not really an answer, and you have to figure out the answer. And it's having the intuition to do that, having the drive to do that, and just figuring out how to get it done. And with that, I will leave it here. I would love for you all to follow us on social media. It's where a majority of anything that we're doing, you'll see it there. We'd love for you to be a part of the Lakeland Magic family. Come and check out a game. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have about the G League, myself, etc.
I'm a huge NBA fan. So you guys have the same amount of games as the NBA, so it's 80 games?
Nope. So we have a 50-game schedule, 24 home, 24 away, 2 are neutral sites. So we have a kind of a mid-season tournament in Vegas every December, and every team plays 2 games there. So 50-game schedule.
Okay, playoffs? Yeah, playoffs.
Yep, our playoffs are interesting. It's more March Madness style.
Okay.
So we have the first 3 rounds are single elimination, and then the finals are best of 3 series.
Okay.
So it's a bit nuts. We were in the playoffs last year. We lost in the East Conference Finals on a last-second buzzer beater in overtime to Theo Pinson of the Long
Not
Island
bitter at all.
Nets.
Not
bitter.
No.
We had a 20-point lead or something.
We did. We had a 20-point lead. They came back, tied it. It was a disaster.
It's killing.
And then